Alice, good morning. Talk us through this latest data for us.
Good morning, guys. Well, yeah, over the past year, we saw listings decline so dramatically. But the good news for buyers now is that the new listings flowing onto the market is finally rising. You can see it's up 10.9% in Sydney, 9.7% in Melbourne. Now, the reason we're emphasising that growth in Melbourne and Sydney is because they are our biggest markets, and they fall the first into a decline in the market, but they are the first to march out into a recovery. So even though the other states have got negative growth, they are still on the increase listing wise, and they will most likely follow Melbourne and Sydney in the months ahead. So finally some options for buyers after a year of being able to really having to be sitting on their hands.
So what does it mean for buyers and sellers?
Look, Jane, I think when we think about it a lot, the tent peg holding up the property market at the moment has been the fact we've just had such little supply. So now that supply is coming into the market, we're most likely to see that price growth we've seen earlier this year probably moderate somewhat. I don't think we're going to see huge declines, but it's not going to sort of be what it has been, and it will temper somewhat. I do think, though, it's going to be interesting watching that imbalance play out between supply and demand in the months ahead, because, you know, people who have been selling up until now have done so with such confidence because buyers haven't had choice. So it's going to be there's going to be more competition for buyers, which is going to make it mean sellers are going to have to price accordingly.
Alice, it's Saturday and that means plenty of auctions. How many are we expecting today?
Clint, the numbers today are looking really encouraging. You can see up on the screen here in Melbourne we've got 720, Sydney 703. Now these are most definitely up on season. Normally we see these numbers start to climb as we go into spring. We're not there yet, but they are really encouraging signs. In terms of clearance rates last week, we still had decent numbers and we still hit quite respectable numbers. 76% in Adelaide, 70% in Melbourne and 67% in Melbourne.
Okay, Alice, let's have a look at the most unique homes on the market. What have you got for us?
I've got some amazing ones today, guys. We're going to start off in Toorak in Melbourne, Blue Chip Toorak, which has this incredible house sort of called the Curtain House. Now, this is an idea of glass, concrete, marble and stone. And so if you thought that concrete was boring and never looked sexy and gorgeous, think again. This is a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom home on the market for $13 to $14 million, but just absolutely incredible use of concrete that I've never quite seen before. Something quite different now in Wallara in Sydney. This beautiful preserved Victorian terrace is on the market for a 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom. It's got everything. It's been renovated so meticulously and is so elegant. And it's right in that lovely sort of beautiful heart of Wallara with those gorgeous parterre gardens, which are nod to sort of France, which I love. For the price, contact agent. And finally, something incredible in Chandler in Brisbane. This 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom, sort of 6-star retreat, I suppose. It's a barn-style home, and the vendors have spent 3 years building this home from scratch. It's got a bar in the billiards room that was inspired by the Raffles Hotel bar in Singapore. Beautiful poolside terrace, half-size basketball court, dressage area. Just what you need, and a huge fire pit to have all your mates over as well. On the market for around $18 million.
Wow, Alice
Singapore slings in the bar.
Bringing the goods again today. And you mentioned just quickly, Alice, I mean, spring has come early. What sort of feeling, what sort of sense are you getting around the traps right now?
Look, it's interesting. I think so many people are just sort of relieved, I suppose, to have a little bit of certainty around interest rates. I think people have been on this fence for so long thinking, are they going to keep going up? Will they go down soon? And I think even though there may be another rate rise, I think people at least sort of have a feeling of complacency of like, okay, we're going to be here for a while now. This is my envelope I've got to spend with. And I think for buyers, they can just take on that sort of risk now, knowing what they've got ahead in mortgage repayments. And I think for sellers, knowing they can also find another house if they do sell will bring them a lot of relief also.
Okay, Alice Stoltz there in Melbourne, thank you.
Thanks, Alice.
Rent caps are off the table in Victoria as the state government abandons the proposal to tackle housing affordability. Reid Butler is in Melbourne following this story for us. Reid, what's prompted the decision?
Well, Lizzie, the government now believes it would be counterproductive, put off buyers from investing in new properties. That would affect demand, lead to fewer homes being built, and that would only push up rent prices anyway. That is in the long term. In the short term, though, this is bad news for tenants this morning. It had been getting looked at very closely by the government as a way of dealing with affordability and supply issues. A housing and planning package will be announced in Victoria next month, and the focus now is very much likely to be on boosting that housing supply. On a federal level, the Greens are also pushing for rent reform, rent freezes nationwide. The idea was discussed at National Cabinet. However, it doesn't appear to be very popular with the Prime Minister or most of the premiers. The New South Wales Premier Chris Minns, for instance, has previously said he is against rent caps. Lizzie?
Reed Butler there for us in Melbourne.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?